Before superhero franchises, before cult comedies, before late-night interviews and internet immortality, Paul Rudd and Jack Black found themselves deep in the Amazon jungle, running from a giant snake in a movie that had absolutely no intention of being funny. And yet, here we are. Decades later, people don't just remember Anaconda. They quote it, rewatch it, laugh at it, and dissect it. Not because it's a masterpiece of horror, not because the snake holds up, but because two future comedy legends accidentally injected something timeless into a movie that took itself very, very seriously. So let's ask the real question. Were Paul Rudd and Jack Black actually funny in Anaconda? Or are we projecting modern nostalgia onto performances that were never meant to be comedic? The answer is more interesting than it seems.
There's no notes, it's just all weird and whispers.
And especially you don't want to disturb the snake.
A 50-word hook that matters. Before they were icons, Paul Rudd and Jack Black were trapped inside a deadly jungle thriller. No jokes, no comedy cues, just a snake, fear, and chaos. Somehow, that's exactly why they became the funniest part of Anaconda, without ever trying.
Action! Put your face right up next to the snake.
No.
The movie that didn't want to laugh. When Anaconda released in 1997, it was sold as a straight-faced survival horror film. Man versus nature. Humans versus the unknown. Big budget. Big danger, bigger snake. The tone was crystal clear. This movie wanted tension, not laughter. The characters speak in dramatic urgency. The score swells constantly. The camera lingers on terrified faces, as if danger itself is breathing down their necks. There's no room for irony, no self-awareness, no intentional humor, which makes what Paul Rudd and Jack Black do inside this movie so fascinating. They don't crack jokes, they don't break tone, they don't wink at the audience, and yet they're funny, but not because they tell jokes. They're funny because of how they exist inside a film that demands total seriousness.
If you could pick a past co-star to join you in the Amazon, who are you picking on your crew and why?
I'm picking Jack Black.
Paul Rudd, the power of subtle wrongness. Paul Rudd plays Gary, a supporting character who is supposed to be competent, intelligent, and professional. On paper, he's just another cog in the ensemble machine. But watch him closely. His reactions are slightly delayed. His facial expressions linger just a bit too long. His confusion feels genuine, rather than theatrical. In a movie where everyone else is performing fear at a 10, Rudd operates at a 6. And that difference is everything. Why does that matter? Because comedy often lives in contrast. Rudd isn't trying to be funny. He's reacting the way a normal person might react if suddenly told, "There's a 40-foot snake hunting us." His discomfort feels real. His uncertainty feels human. And when human behavior collides with exaggerated cinematic drama, humor appears. Ask yourself this. How many characters in Anaconda feel like real people? Not many. Rudd's performance unintentionally grounds scenes that are otherwise ridiculous. And that grounding makes the absurdity around him stand out even more. This is the same skill that would later make him iconic, playing sincerity in situations that shouldn't allow it.
Name a movie you've previously been in that deserves a spiritual sequel.
Holy cannoli. I'm a Go School of Rock.
Jack Black, a comedic time bomb before detonation. Jack Black's role is even more interesting. He plays Westridge, a loud, annoying, self-important crew member. The movie clearly intends him to be irritating, not funny. He exists to raise tension, not lighten it. But Jack Black can't help being Jack Black. Even restrained, even boxed in by the script, his energy leaks through. His movements are exaggerated. His voice cuts through scenes. His presence disrupts the rhythm of every interaction. The film doesn't acknowledge this as humor, but audiences do, especially modern ones. Why? Because we now recognize what the filmmakers couldn't yet see. They had cast a future comedic force before knowing what to do with him. Black isn't cracking jokes. He's just too much for the movie he's in. And that excess creates laughter. Not intentionally, but inevitably. Have you ever watched a movie where one actor feels like they belong in a completely different genre? That's Jack Black in Anaconda.
Whispering sound of the anaconda, baby, gonna squeeze the life out of your lungs, mother.
That's it. Look, it's a work in progress. Like, it's not there yet.
Accidental comedy is still comedy. Here's an important distinction. Anaconda is not a comedy, but accidental comedy still counts. Some of the most enduringly funny moments in film history weren't designed to be funny at all. They became funny because time, context, and audience awareness shifted. Paul Rudd and Jack Black are funny in Anaconda because the movie takes itself too seriously. Their performances don't fully match that seriousness. Modern audiences bring future knowledge with them. Comedy emerges from the gap. That gap is what makes rewatching Anaconda so enjoyable today.
Kenny has a phobia of peeing in public. What's your most ridiculous phobia?
It's not really ridiculous, but I live in New York, and anytime I'm walking and a rat.
The role of time. Why this hits harder now. In 1997, audiences didn't laugh the same way. Paul Rudd wasn't Paul Rudd. Jack Black wasn't a household name. They were just actors doing their jobs. But time changes perception. When you watch Anaconda now, you can't unsee who these men become. Every awkward reaction, every strange delivery, every exaggerated movement feels like a preview of greatness. So here's the real question. Are they funny because they intended to be, or because we recognize the raw material before refinement? That question turns Anaconda into a case study in early talent.
How much you care about the characters. Yeah.
That's a good
And,
surprise.
and honestly, at the end of the day, isn't that all we have?
That's all there is to it.
A hidden lesson for creators and entrepreneurs. This is where the story becomes valuable beyond film analysis. Neither Rudd nor Black was in control of this project. They didn't write the script. They didn't shape the tone. They didn't choose the genre. They were placed inside a system that wasn't built for them. And yet, their uniqueness still surfaced. That's a powerful lesson. How many people think they aren't talented because their environment doesn't reward them yet? How many creatives feel stuck because their current role doesn't showcase their strengths? Anaconda proves something quietly important. Your abilities show up before the world knows what to do with them. Sometimes your early work looks awkward. Sometimes it doesn't fit. Sometimes it's misunderstood. That doesn't mean it's worthless. It means it's early.
Okay, can you give us a little breakdown of what it was like shooting the piggyback scene? Break it down. Break it down.
Break it down.
Why Anaconda became a cult favorite. People don't revisit Anaconda because it's technically impressive. They revisit it because it's layered. It's a snapshot of 90s blockbuster excess, a time when CGI ambition exceeded execution. Future stars trapped inside the wrong movie. Without Paul Rudd and Jack Black, Anaconda would likely be forgotten, a disposable cable movie from the late 90s. With them, it became something else, a cultural curiosity, a movie people watch because it's flawed.
Do you have a favorite line from this movie that you were able to improvise?
Oh, was there a line in this movie that I improvised? I'm sure there was, but none are coming to mind. And so is there a famous one? I'm gonna say no.
So, were they funny? Let's answer honestly. Paul Rudd is funny in Anaconda, not because he tells jokes, but because he behaves like a real human trapped in cinematic absurdity. Jack Black is funny in Anaconda, not because the script allows him to be, but because his natural energy refuses to stay contained. They are funny by accident. An accidental comedy often ages better than intentional comedy, because it wasn't chasing laughs. It was revealing truth.
Enough of this White Lotus. Time for School of Rock. Deuce.
What this teaches us about success. Here's the final takeaway. Paul Rudd and Jack Black didn't explode overnight. Their greatness didn't arrive fully formed. It leaked out in imperfect places, inside imperfect projects. Anaconda wasn't the peak. It was the signal, a reminder that early work doesn't define you. Misfit moments often hide future success. Being out of place doesn't mean being wrong. Sometimes it just means you're ahead of the curve. Anaconda didn't mean to capture two future comedy legends in their raw form, but it did. Paul Rudd brought understated humanity to a movie drowning in excess. Jack Black brought uncontrollable energy to a film that demanded restraint. Together, they transformed a forgettable thriller into a movie people still talk about, still laugh at, and still rewatch. If you enjoyed this breakdown of hidden value, accidental comedy, and early greatness, like this video, subscribe for more deep dives, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss what's next. Drop a comment. What other serious movies became funny over time? We'll see you in the next one.